Alright, so, I wasn't even planning to post this, but my group chat basically bullied me into it, saying I needed to vent somewhere before I exploded. So here I am. I'll probably regret oversharing later, but it's late, I can't sleep, and I'm still pissed. Anyway, hi. I'm Sydney, 29 years old. I live in this tiny apartment where my view is literally the trash bins, and my dog loses his mind every time a leaf decides to move. My boyfriend, well, ex, I guess, Calvin is 31, and we've been together for 2 years. Apparently that's the exact amount of time it takes to realize you might be dating a completely different person than you thought. Oh, and just for context, my sister Noel lives 3 time zones away living her influencer dream life, while my mom texts me every single morning reminding me to hydrate and smile. Anyway, the real mess started last week, but looking back, things were off even before that. Calvin had been acting strange, not in a dramatic, obvious way, but through these subtle things that just didn't add up. He started leaving his phone face down all the time, switched his wallpaper from a goofy selfie of us to a picture of his dog. No warning, no comment. Then he began saying he was drowning in work, which sure happens to everyone, but somehow he was always too busy for anything that lasted more than an hour. Then I got sick. Genuinely sick. Not just sniffles and tissues, but like fever, chills, and bones aching kind of sick. Monday night, I was half dead in the kitchen trying to pour orange juice when my phone buzzed. It was Calvin. Hey, can you help me pack for my work conference tomorrow? Can't find my blue shirt. I just stared at my phone for a solid 5 minutes thinking, is this guy serious? Why is this suddenly my job? But of course I said yes, because that's what you do when you're trying to be a supportive girlfriend. Deep down, I hoped he'd notice how awful I felt and tell me to rest. Spoiler, he didn't. So there I am, feverish and barely functioning, sorting through his laundry while he's pacing around my living room on a phone call. I'm coughing so hard my eyes are watering, and he's just rearranging piles of clothes like it's the most important task on earth. I ask if he packed his charger. He barely glances over and mumbles something about using the hotels. He tells me this trip is for client meeting, which apparently now requires 3 nights, instead of the 2 I point that out, and he shrugs like I'm being unreasonable for even asking. The kicker? He doesn't even thank me, just grabs his suitcase, kisses my forehead. Great, now he's probably No, I'll miss you? Not even a real goodbye. Just text me if you— The next few days blur together. Warm soup, emails I couldn't— Calvin sent a few texts here and there, nothing mean. Just busy day or headed— Never any— It was like talking to a wall. I told my mom I was sick, and she immediately offered to DoorDash me soup. I said yes because honestly, standing up for 5 minutes felt like— 3 days in, I couldn't sleep, so I doom scrolling through Instagram stories. I get a "you've been tagged" note from Kira, this girl I vaguely knew from college. She's hosting some hotel. Curiosity wins, so I click. I'm expecting to see old classmates or random. Instead, I see Calvin. In the background of a group shot, clear as day, shirtless, sunglasses, drink in one hand, and some blonde girl sitting on his lap. Not next to him, on his lap. Her arm draped, laughing at whatever he's saying, while he smiles, that real, guarded smile. The one he only uses when he thinks no one's looking. At first, I just stare. I even zoom in because I'm convinced I'm hallucinating the fever. But nope, it's him. Same watch. Same stupid tattoo. I scroll back through her story and find more. Calvin playing some pool game. Calvin laughing at the bar. Calvin very much not in a conference room. I felt so unbelievably stupid. I packed that man's bag, folded his shirts, even packed those tiny travel toothpaste tubes he always forgets. Meanwhile, he was gearing up for a damn pool party. So I text him. Nothing dramatic. Just, hey, are you at a pool party? Hours pass. No response. I call. Goes straight to voicemail. Twice. Then he finally texts back. Super busy. Talk later. By now, I'm shaking. Part fever, part fury. I call again. He answers this time, and I can hear music. Laughter. He sounds half drunk. I ask if he's on a work trip or just partying. He laughs. Like it's funny. Then says, totally calm, that I'm comfortable, predictable, not exciting enough. Basically that I'm the placeholder, not the main event. That the girl I saw, she's who he celebrates with. And me? I'm just the one he comes back to when he's bored. I think I went completely silent. I tried to argue, but he kept talking over me. Told me not to take it personally. That some people are good for fun, and others are good for stability. And he's just not sure he wants stability. Then he hung up. I stared at my phone until it went dark, and then I threw it at the wall. It bounced. No cracks. Just a dent in the paint. Figures. After that, I just sat there. No crying. Just empty. My dog walked over and rested his head on my lap, like he knew I needed something to hold on to. I scratched his ears and whispered, "You're the only man I trust right now." I texted my sister, but she was asleep. Different time zone. I couldn't bring myself to call my mom because I knew she'd drive down with soup and tissues, and I didn't have the energy to explain any of this. What kills me is how normal everything felt until it wasn't. There were warning signs, sure, but nothing loud enough to make me stop and see it. Just a slow leak of weirdness that I kept patching with trust and excuses. I spent the whole week defending him while he was out there living a different life. I still haven't blocked him, though I know I should. Part of me wants to message Kira and ask if she knew, but honestly, I don't think I want any more truth right now. I'm just tired. I keep looking at the suitcase I packed for him like it's cursed. I want to throw it off the balcony. So yeah, that's where I'm at. No dramatic breakdown, no big revelation. Just me, sitting here, wanting to wake up and have a normal life again. I know that's not how it works, but I can dream. I don't know what the next step is. I just know I'm not doing this again. I'm done being the filler girl. No idea what that looks like yet, but I'll figure it out. Maybe I'm posting this just to see if anyone else has been this blind, or if I'm missing something obvious. Either way, thanks for listening. Do people really treat each other like this? Like it's just normal now? Anyway, thanks if you actually made it this far. My dog's barking at the window again, so I guess that's my cue to wrap this up. If anything else happens, I'll post another update. First update. Alright, first off, thank you. Seriously. To everyone who commented, DM'd, or just said something kind. I wasn't even sure I'd post again, but a few people asked for an update. And honestly, writing this out feels cheaper, and way less awkward, than therapy. So, I wish I could tell you I woke up the next morning all empowered and ready to take on the world. But no, I woke up to my dog's butt in my face, a text from my mom that said vitamin C helps, and 27 unread work emails. Life doesn't pause for heartbreak, apparently. It just keeps marching on while you're stuck in the wreckage. I didn't block Calvin. Not right away. For about 2 days, I just lurked. Watched his stories like an idiot. Checked my phone too often, convincing myself maybe he'd call and tell me it was all a misunderstanding or some elaborate prank. Instead, he posted a picture of himself at a bar surrounded by strangers, and then another one of his dog. Because of course he did. For a moment, I even started gaslighting myself, wondering if maybe I'd overreacted. I replayed our phone call again and again, dissecting every word. Was I being dramatic? Did I mishear him? But every time I remembered the way he said filler like it was some kind of compliment, my stomach turned and the anger came flooding back. Not just anger at him, but at myself, for being so pathetically available. I had a fever, and I was still packing his suitcase like some unpaid assistant, while he was out playing the main character with someone else. I felt ridiculous. The weird part was how normal life around me stayed. The world didn't care that mine had cracked open. I still had to buy groceries, still had to walk my dog, still had to text my sister Noel about her new apartment like nothing was wrong. And when I finally told my mom, her response was peak mom. Maybe this is a sign to focus on yourself for a while. Which, yeah, sounds wise, but doesn't exactly help when your ex's crap is still taking up your closet. Then things shifted. One night, I was doom-scrolling in bed, eating dry cereal because I was out of milk again, when I saw Calvin had posted a throwback photo of us from last summer. Caption: "Good times. Excuse me? You cheat, humiliate me, and now you're doing nostalgia posts for clout?" That's when it hit me. His stuff was still in my apartment. His sneakers, his ratty hoodie, his weird collection of half-broken earbuds. I texted my best friend Brianna. She's basically chaos in human form. And she immediately replied, "Get rid of it, all of it. Do not give that man a single reason to show up again." So I did. I started with the sneakers and didn't stop until my closet looked like it had been through an exorcism. By the end, I had 3 giant garbage bags full of his things. It was strangely satisfying. I almost kept the hoodie. It's insanely comfortable. But then I remembered the way he laughed at me on the phone, and I threw it in too. I called a rideshare, loaded the bags, and told the driver to drop them outside his building. Then I sent Calvin a text. "Your stuff's out front. Don't come here again." After that, I blocked him everywhere. Phone, socials, even Venmo, because I knew he'd still try to request $4 for coffee out of pure spite. I thought that was the end of it. Clean cut. Done. But Calvin doesn't do done. 2 days later, I'm at work trying to concentrate when the front desk pings me. Someone's here to see me. And I just know. Sure enough, there he is in the lobby, holding one of the garbage bags like a sad clown in a breakup rom-com gone wrong. I don't know if he thought I'd feel guilty or something, but I walked right out there, crossed my arms, and said, "You need to leave." He immediately goes off, claims I'm overreacting, that I'm embarrassing him, that nobody else would take him in after what I did. Which is hilarious, because I'm not the one who lied. When he tries to follow me back inside, I step in front of him and put my hand on his chest. Nothing aggressive, just firm enough to say, "Don't." That's when he grabs my wrist. Not in a nice way either. And for a split second, something in me snaps. I yank my arm back and say, "Don't touch me," loud enough that a few heads turn. The security guard comes over immediately and says, "Sir, you need to leave." Calvin drops the bag, mutters something under his breath, and storms off, but not before kicking the bag into the glass door so hard half his crap spills everywhere. Earbuds scatter, one sneaker rolls dramatically down the hallway. Everyone in the lobby is staring. I just stand there for a second, staring at the mess, then quietly pick up the bag and drag it to the trash room. Fitting end, honestly. The rest of the day, I couldn't focus. My wrist throbbed where he'd grabbed it. Nothing major, just a faint red mark, but the whole scene kept replaying in my head. I kept wondering if I should have yelled louder, or called the cops, or just done more. When I got home that night, there was a note taped to my door in his handwriting. Messy, smudged, full of crossed-out words and half-hearted apologies. At one point, he literally called me a cold-hearted snake. I wish I was joking. Then he wrote that he'd always thought I was too good to be interesting. Like, pick a lane, dude. I ripped the note up and threw it in the compost bin. My dog tried to eat it, because of course he did. When I told Brianna, she said, "Well, at least you got your power back." But honestly, it didn't feel like power. It felt like taking out the trash. Literally and emotionally. The worst part was the aftermath. Mutual friends started texting, saying Calvin was telling people I'd flipped out, gone psycho, and that he was scared for his stuff. So now people I used to hang out with are side-eyeing me like I'm the villain. One girl, who I actually considered a friend, DM'd me saying, "Maybe you could have let him down easier?" Yeah, sure, because he was so gentle when he dumped me over the phone from a pool party with another girl on his lap. At that point, I just logged off everything, muted half my contacts, and tried to survive the week. My mom kept texting me soup recipes. My sister kept sending men are trash memes. Classic Noelle. The only thing that felt remotely normal was walking my dog and watching him lose his mind at every single squirrel like it was his life's mission. Then, Saturday night, my phone lit up. Unknown number. And of course, Calvin was calling. I knew it was him before I even checked the screen, because honestly, who still calls anymore? I let it ring. He left a voicemail, slurring his words, saying he missed me and couldn't believe I'd done this to him. I deleted it halfway through without listening to the rest. Then Sunday rolls around. I get back from the store, juggling grocery bags, and what do I find? One of his old t-shirts shoved into my mailbox. Like, why? What is that even supposed to mean? I didn't touch it, just shoved it down to the bottom and left it there. If the post office wants to keep it, they're welcome to it. I don't know if that counts as moving on or getting even, but it's something. And if Calvin shows up again, I'm done playing nice. I'll call security before his foot even hits the lobby floor. For now, I'm sticking to soup, trashy reality TV, and pretending the last 2 years never happened. Oh, and one piece of advice. If you're ever sick and someone asks you to pack their bag, don't. Just don't. Second update. Hey again, it's me, Lowell. Not gonna lie, I wasn't planning on posting another update this soon, but the past week has been so weird and exhausting that I need to get it out before I lose my mind. This one's gonna be long. Sorry in advance, but if you want drama that's not even entertaining, just plain uncomfortable, buckle up. So after the whole garbage bags at his door, and Calvin gets escorted out by security saga, still can't believe that's something I have to say about my own life. Really thought it was over. Like, he'd block me, I'd block him, and we'd both move on. Maybe have one awkward dog park sighting in 6 months and that'd be it. But no. Apparently Calvin doesn't do quiet exits. Or maybe I'm just not as invisible as he assumed. The first weird thing, my mom calls me Tuesday morning, not to offer soup this time, but because she got a call from my building's front desk. Yep, you read that right. Calvin had shown up early that morning saying he forgot his charger and asking if they could let him up to my apartment. They obviously said no, but apparently he hung around looking distressed, pacing in front of the entrance until they finally called my emergency contact, aka my mom. So now she's convinced I need a panic button installed. Classic mom energy. I sent him one final text, kept it short. Do not come to my building again or I'll escalate this. Then I blocked the new number. At that point, I was exhausted, still recovering from being sick, running on caffeine and pure spite. But things got even messier. I started getting random DMs from mutual friends, some I hadn't talked to in months, asking what really happened. One guy, Ramon, didn't even say hi, just went straight to, "Did you actually throw all of Calvin's stuff in the trash?" I told him no. I bagged it and had it dropped off at his building, which is literally the most civilized thing I could have done. He replied with a shrug emoji. Nothing else. Cool. Then Jess, one of those friends who was always more his friend than mine, messages me saying I should give him a chance to explain because he's really upset, so I tell her the short version. He lied, cheated, and called me filler. She writes back, "That doesn't sound like him," and asks if I'm sure I didn't misinterpret. Like, yeah, Jess, I must have hallucinated the entire phone call and the Instagram stories. My bad. I didn't even bother replying. Just left her on read, and that's when the doubts started creeping in. People I thought were neutral started acting weird, and I found myself second-guessing everything. Like, am I the crazy ex now? Did I go too far? Then Noelle texted me a screenshot she'd grabbed from Calvin's new story. It was a close-up of his dog with the caption, "Wish loyalty was contagious," followed by a crying emoji. And yeah, it stung. I hate that it did, but it did. People eat that sad boy nonsense up without knowing what he's actually like. Then things around my building started to feel off. First, a box of protein bars I'd ordered disappeared from the shared mail area. Then my dog's new leash showed up opened and tossed under the table. I'm not saying it's him, but come on, the timing is suspicious. I asked the front desk if they'd seen anything, and they just shrugged. Could be anyone, we'll keep an eye out. I didn't go full conspiracy mode, but I started double-checking the locks every night before bed. Eventually, I decided to talk to actual humans instead of just doom-scrolling. Met up with Brianna, my ride-or-die chaos queen, and we vented for 2 hours over coffee. She told me I did the right thing, that people always pick sides, and it's usually whoever's loudest. Then she said, if anyone's that desperate to hear his side, they can date him themselves. I laughed for the first time in days, but still, the tension hung around. The next day, I saw him, Calvin, just standing around the corner from my building, phone in hand, like he was waiting for someone, maybe me. I took the long way home, circled the block twice, and didn't go inside until he was gone. That night, I texted my landlord, asking what could be done if someone keeps hanging around. He said if it happens again, they can issue a formal warning or even call the cops if it escalates. Not what I wanted, but at least I had options. And then, it escalated. Saturday night, I'm home watching some dumb baking show, half asleep, when my dog suddenly goes ballistic. I look through the peephole. Calvin's outside, pounding on my, shouting loud enough that the neighbor's baby starts crying. I can smell the booze even through the door. He's slurring, saying he just wants to talk. I yell back, "Go home! You're not coming in!" He starts crying, then flips into anger, hurling his bag at my door. I hear something crash. When I finally open it, after he's gone, there's a smashed flower pot and dirt scattered all over the hallway. That was it for me. I called building management and reported the whole thing. They said they'd send a written warning immediately. The next morning, my neighbor, this sweet older lady who always sneaks my dog treats, knocked on my door and told me she heard everything. She said if I ever needed a witness, she'd back me up. And honestly, that made me feel safer than any lock ever could. I thanked my neighbor and apologized for the mess in the hallway. She just shrugged and said, "Men are exhausting." And honestly, she's not wrong. As if that wasn't enough, I got a call from work. On a Sunday. Because apparently Calvin thought it'd be a great idea to message my former boss asking if I'd been acting strange lately, and if they should be worried about my mental health. I still have no clue how he even got that number. I was mortified. Now I had to reassure people that, no, I wasn't having some emotional breakdown. My ex was just spiraling and dragging me down with him. So yeah, it's been chaos on all fronts. I've got people whispering, Calvin lurking, my mom stress calling me twice a day, and my dog growling at every single sound in the hallway. I even thought about moving, but that felt dramatic and expensive. And really, why should I be the one to leave? So for now, I'm just keeping my head down and pretending like none of this is getting to me. If there's one good thing that's come out of all this, it's that I've become stubborn as hell about my boundaries. Last time Calvin tried to DM me from some obvious spam account, I blocked him without even opening it. I told my friends, if they still want to hang out with him, that's their problem. I won't be there. And I told my mom if she wants to worry, she can send cookies instead of panic articles about home break-ins. For the first time in forever, I even stood up to my landlord when he tried to give me grief about noise complaints. I told him, I'm not the problem here. If you want good tenants, start by keeping the creeps out. He didn't argue, but the hallway was cleaned the next day. Small win. So yeah, fallout is the perfect word for it. There's no neat little bow, no clean closure, just a mess. I'm tired, I'm frustrated, and if I never see Calvin again, it'll still be too soon. But I guess I'm finally learning that sometimes you have to build your own peace, even when no one else understands it. This probably isn't the satisfying update people want, but it's where I'm at. If anyone has advice on how to permanently get rid of a persistent ex, changing countries, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just keep blocking, keep living, and keep hoping for a quiet week for one. Last update. Okay, real talk. I wasn't even gonna post this one. Who wants to admit their life is still a train wreck months later? But apparently I'm living in some kind of soap opera no one signed up for, so here we go. This is for everyone who's asked if Calvin finally left me alone, or for anyone who's had an ex pop back up like one of those annoying ads you can't close. It's been about 4 months since everything went down. The suitcase packing, the filler, not the main event phone call, the garbage bag drama, all of it. Life now? Not bad, not great, just different. I ended up moving, just 3 blocks away. Not really because of him, but because my old landlord got weird after the flower pot incident, and rent shot up anyway. My new place is smaller, but the window's actually open, and my dog loves it here. Fewer hallway noises, more sunspots. I bought a couch off Marketplace, the kind that takes 2 hours, 5 curses, and 1 small existential crisis to assemble. Mom still calls every other day, but the tone has shifted from, "Is your ex stalking you?" to, "What did you eat for lunch?" Progress, I guess. She even mailed me a box of those vitamin gummies she swears will keep the stress away. Noelle came for the weekend, brought overpriced coffee and her usual "breakups are good for your soul" sermon. She's not wrong, but she's also never stuck around for the messy part after. So yeah, I thought I was finally in the clear. Then last Saturday I get back from walking the dog, arms full of groceries, and the neighbor's kid runs up saying, "There's a man crying outside your door." I actually laughed. Like, impossible, right? But then I heard the voice. Calvin. He was sitting on the floor outside my apartment, knees pulled up, head in his hands. He looked bad. Not just sad, but hollow. Like he hadn't slept in days or changed his clothes in longer. He had this old canvas bag with him, the kind he used to make fun of other people for carrying. Guess he ran out of pride. For a second, I just stood there, debating whether I should pretend I forgot something and turn right back around. But the neighbor kid was staring, my dog was barking, and I was out of options. I dropped the groceries just inside the door and asked, "What are you doing here?" Not angry, not emotional, just done. He started rambling. Apologies, excuses, confessions, saying he missed me, that everything had gotten out of control, that the other girl meant nothing, and for half a second I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. But mostly I was furious that he was standing there again, dragging all this drama back into my life. I told him to leave. Said this wasn't his home anymore. He said he had nowhere to go, that his friends were sick of him, that he didn't know who else to talk to. Then he reached for me, grabbed my arm in this desperate, clinging way. My first instinct was to pull back. Hard. My grocery bag tipped over, oranges rolling across the floor, my dog barking like an alarm. He kept talking, louder now, saying I was the only one who ever understood him, that he was lost without me. I stepped back again, told him to stop, but he followed, grabbed my wrist, and that's when something in me just snapped. I shoved his arm away, maybe harder than I had to, and told him to get out. He flinched but didn't move. I told him again, louder this time, and suddenly doors started opening. Neighbors peeking out, whispering. He finally stood up, wiped his face, and begged me to let him in. Just 5 minutes, he said. I told him no. He pleaded again, said he wasn't leaving until I talked to him. I said if he didn't leave right now, I was calling security, and this time I wouldn't be so nice about it. He stared at me for a long second, like he was deciding whether to push his luck. Then he said, "Just give me one more chance, please." I said, "Absolutely not." He didn't take that well. Started yelling that I'd ruined his life. At that point, I wasn't scared anymore, just angry. I told him, "You did that yourself. Now walk away before I call the cops." He tried to step inside, actually tried, and I just reacted. I slapped him, hard. Not my proudest moment, but God, it felt justified. He stumbled back, looked stunned, then grabbed his bag and muttered something I couldn't hear. And then, finally, he walked away. My dog was still barking. I stood there watching him go, and for the first time since this whole mess began, I felt not happy, but not guilty either. Neighbors whispered. The kid's mom gave me a look like, "Should I call someone?" I shook my head, thanked her, and started picking up my groceries, and whatever was left of my dignity. I called my mom, told her everything. She said she was proud of me for standing up for myself and offered to come stay the night. I told her I'd be fine. Later, Noelle FaceTimed me. Her advice? Next time, aim for the throat. She was joking, I think. The next morning, I found a note slipped under my door. Just one word. Sorry. I didn't text him, didn't unblock him, didn't do anything. I dropped it straight into the trash with the broken eggs and orange peels. Apparently, he's been sleeping in his car for a few nights. Someone said he tried crashing at Ramon's, but Ramon kicked him out. Now he's telling people I assaulted him. Let him. Let them gossip. Let them pick sides. I know what happened. So do the people who actually matter. I wish I could say it ended with some grand revelation about self-love and healing. But really, I'm just grateful it's quiet again. I don't know what comes next. If you made it this far, thanks for sticking around through the chaos. And if your ex ever shows up crying on your doorstep, just remember this. You don't owe them a damn thing. That's it. Maybe I'll update if something wild happens. But honestly, I'm praying for nothing but boring, peaceful days from here on out. And honestly, that sounds perfect.